we go. Go. Here we 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 go. Hey, yo, what it is and what's good, y'all? Welcome back to 280 Plus, the social media podcast where I take the conversations off the timeline and go beyond the posts. I'm your host, Low Steph, and I'm back here for episode 211 of the platform. 211. Welcome back. If you are a returning viewer, if you're new to the channel, I'd like you to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Make sure you hit that bell for notifications so you can stay up to date to what we're talking about, what we're doing over here. If you want to join the conversation, leave a comment below. And if you know anybody that's interested in the content, share that content, man. Hit that little arrow thing, you know what I'm saying? And share it and give them the link. Show some love, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, we back with episode 211. So, I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, I'm exhausted with, like, politics, you know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes the spicier topics tend to be politically driven. Even when you're not trying to be, like, you know, too topical, and you're not trying to be political and things like that, but like it seems like those are the topics that tend to just garner the most attention. And that I guess maybe that's what my algorithm is just swarming with, like, just disagreements and stuff like that. So I think this episode, we don't got nothing like that. I think this is going to be more of a fun episode. We got some different topics we're going to talk about. We got some videos that we're going to react to this week. We got something to talk about, picky eaters. All right, so all my picky eaters out there, or people that call you picky eaters, we're going to react to a video of what this shorty says, you know what I mean, about it. And kind of having to talk about just society, gender roles, right? And how, you know, men talk about they want women to cook, but this woman is basically saying, like, how are we supposed to cook if y'all so picky and y'all don't even eat this, y'all don't even eat that? The comments, they was going crazy on that too. RIP to D'Angelo. So we're gonna talk a little bit about D'Angelo, and just, you know, pay a little homage to him, and you know, kind of recognize him for what his contributions are. We're gonna talk a little bit about we're gonna react to a video where it talks about basically like black trauma and how it manifests itself through the generations, right? Like, how do parents kind of try to show their contrition, and how they try to, like, apologize, right? And almost like kind of how confusing that could be a little bit. And then I got a TV show that I wanted to talk about, a new TV show. It's not a full review because I'm not done with the show. I may or may not give a full review at some point, but just it's some wild stuff that's going on in this new Netflix show called Wayward. All right, so we're gonna talk about Wayward, and then maybe give a couple different updates on the NFL. And particularly, hopefully, I can maybe share a video of Aaron Rodgers and him being absolutely pissed off by something that a teammate did to him in the middle of a game, right? And I ain't gonna lie, I kind of think it's within reason a little bit, but we'll see. We'll get your reaction, see what you think about it. But let's um let's get started though. But yeah, like I said, just some certain topics, certain things. I'm not gonna get into, like, you know, anything that has to do with, like, some of the moves that have been done politically and things like that. Some of the things that are kind of coming down the pipe, because I think sometimes, with a lot of times with those type of topics, we don't fully know everything that's going on yet. So I don't want to talk about things that I'm not fully informed on. So I'm not gonna fuel the fire at all about certain topics. You know, we're not gonna talk about shutdowns, nothing like that. We're just gonna have some kind of escapist fun a little bit, and just talk about some random topics here in this week's episode. So uh, let's uh, let's get started, man. So, um, are you a picky eater? Would people classify you as a picky eater, or would you self-identify yourself as a picky eater? Now, me, I would not classify myself particularly as a picky eater, but I have been called a picky eater in many instances. And I'm going to give you a breakdown of the foods that I do not eat. And because I feel like it's some there are it's ingredients really that I don't eat. And but we could talk about how we get around eating some of these ingredients and certain things because obviously I know that some of these ingredients are kind of like base ingredients, but like we're gonna talk about like I'm gonna identify what I think a real picky eater is, and then we'll move on. We'll move on. So I got a video to share for y'all, and it's just a little video that someone was talking, basically giving some commentary on this particular topic. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh no. I gotta hold up. I gotta pause it, and then I gotta make sure I mute it. All right, so let's get ready to share that video. And then what do you guys think here? Let's see. Let's share this. And we gonna get a little bit smoother with this. I'm still playing with some different elements of sharing videos. There's another way that I want to really utilize sharing the videos, but I'm just not there yet technologically. So you know, you're gonna get these shares the way they look, right? Where you're gonna see pretty much everything a little bit on my screen, but that's all. It's neither here nor there. It's all good. All right. So let's take a look here. All right. So this woman, it says grown adults. Oh, well, let's see. Do we have a caption? Okay, yeah. It says grown adults aren't eating onions, tomatoes, and peppers and keep hollering about a meal on here. I'm confused. You need a bag of nuggets then. All right. So this was random post I seen in the middle of the week. And let's chime in here. Hold on. Let's take a look here and see what she got to say.
Can y'all tell me why is guys keep hollering out the girlies don't cook, the women don't cook, nobody cooks anymore, but the guys don't even eat onions and peppers. The guys don't eat onions and peppers, and they eat really, really tough steak. What will you eat? Let's talk about it. Can y'all
All right, so we are going to talk about it. So what will I eat? So first off, I don't eat tough steak. I eat my steak either medium, the mediums, right? So I could do a little medium rare. I could do a little medium rare here and there, depending on what the dish is. Definitely medium all the way, medium well in some instances, right? Depending on the establishment, because sometimes I don't. Man, I've been watching too many like Gordon Ramsay kitchen nightmare type shows and stuff like that. Like he had this one like called Secret Service. And man, you don't even know, man. Y'all don't even know what be going on in these restaurants. So sometimes it might be best. You might not want a well done steak, but you might want your certain foods that where it can vary a little bit. You might want that joint cooked a little bit longer because you don't know what else your food is getting contaminated with. So I don't eat tough steak, right? I eat tender steak. But I don't like these are the things I don't like, right? It used to be four things. I used to not like peppers, tomatoes. Did I say peppers? No, 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 no. No, my bad. Rewind, rewind. The four things I don't eat: onions, tomatoes, celery, and mushrooms. Now, mushrooms, I've kind of evolved a little bit. And the way I evolved with mushrooms, it was like just eating like miso soup and stuff like that. And like they would have a random mushroom in there. And then I started eating them and it's not that bad. Mushrooms was more like a texture thing because mushrooms have the texture of like foam, like styrofoam. Like it just don't, yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. I'm not gonna eat necessarily a stuffed mushroom, whatever necessarily, but like if it's an ingredient that's in something, I'll fuck around, eat it. I think I start also yeah in hibachi because they do be having mushrooms in the hibachi, and so like yeah, I eat a mushroom here and there. You know what I mean? Celery, I cannot eat celery, bro. So like a lot of times celery goes in like soups and like it goes into the stock and broths and stuff. That's just something that I typically eat around. I don't know nobody that's using so usually I feel like celery is like a seasoning type of ingredient it's not like something people is not banging celery, bro. So don't even call me picky for not wanting celery. I never been I remember when I was a kid, the whole celery and peanut butter era, like never been into that. Like that was always crazy. It just has this like it has this earthy taste that like is like too strong for me. And it's like the texture. I don't get down with it. And never have. So if it's in soup or if it's in certain things, I'm usually able to eat around it because it's not the main character in a lot of dishes. Now the last two or the first two that I named, I guess, are kind of a little bit more staples that go into a lot of food, but hear me out. So tomatoes again is like a texture thing. It's about like tomatoes are slimy as AF, man. They are slimy as hell, man. And I can't get down with it. I can't get down with the gushiness of a tomato. Like if you ever eat a burger or a sandwich that has a tomato in it and then like your sandwich just be mad wet afterwards like nah, I'm pulling that off, whatever. I don't like the argument when people try to say, well, you eat ketchup, so how don't you eat tomatoes? Like that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like I eat things with a tomato base for sure. I eat pasta, I eat different sauces, I eat marinara, whatever. But like I would rather like the tomato be kind of cooked down. I retired tomato soup. I don't eat tomato soup, partially because I think that was like more of a that's more of like a school lunch type thing that turned me off of tomato soup. Cause I remember, bro, when I was in elementary school, and whenever we have, I used to eat tomato soup. I used to eat it pretty regularly at home. It's not regularly, but I would eat it at home, grilled cheese type thing. So at my elementary, all elementary schools and just general, like school lunches be trash. You know what I'm saying? And I remember how they made the grilled cheese sandwiches. They made these like they mass produced these grilled cheese sandwiches and basically like they bake them. They bake them, right? So the grilled cheese would always be kind of like hard, like it would have this buttery top to it, whatever, but it just never was hitting for real, for real. And what turned me off of tomato soup was probably like eating it at school and like seeing like the tomato, like maybe they're cooking the tomato soup too high, but like the tomato soup at school one time, I remember it had like a skin film over top of it, like almost like it was like burnt almost. And that shit freaked me out. And then it didn't taste the best. And then like I'm seeing all these people dip their grilled cheese sandwich in it, and then like I'm seeing, and it turned me off. Like it didn't turn me off with grilled cheese, but with the tomato soup, I was like, you know what? There's nothing to tomato soup, man. Like there's no meat in it. There's nothing else. There's not a noodle in it. I'm not missing anything. It's tomato broth and I'm cool off of that. I mean, I'm totally cool off of that. So you can miss me with the tomato soup and tomatoes. So when it comes to salsa, I don't really eat too much salsa unless it is like kind of like fine a little bit. So like I feel like chili's got the best salsa because it's like kind of pureed a little bit and like it's the tomatoes itself, they're so like processed down. I mean, I won't say cooked down, but like they are cooked down and like probably like processed in some way, whether it's like a food processor or puree, that you don't have the chunks of the tomato. So yeah, so like it don't it's no chunks to it, you know what I mean? Like so it's good. It tastes real good. Or even if I do eat salsa, like a lot of times at like a actual Mexican place, it is a little bit more pureed, so to speak. It's more it's not like it's chunky, it's more like smooth, you know what I mean? So I can eat it, but also too it's more so like the salsa, it's the juices of the salsa, you know what I mean, that I don't mind, you know what I mean? And then onions. I don't eat onions in anything for real. You can cook with the onions. Like you can use it as a cooking agent. I understand. For me, I'll be like, yo, just use onion powder. You know what I mean? I've seen people use onion soup mix, and it's like just a little bit different in terms of it. Um, I'm gonna tell you why I hate onions. Onions, I think I started hating onions because of the McDonald's hamburger cheeseburgers and hamburgers, right? And because they would put these they would put the tiniest diced little onions in them sandwiches. And like I think I was always like for the most part, I think that's what turned me on to nuggets because I was getting burgers and then it would have this weird taste to me and then like I would have all these little crunchies in my like you know how like some people don't like the texture of like coconut because it's like too gritty and like it's too fine and it's like too much to chew. That's how them little diced onions in the McDonald's hamburgers used to be like, and it would be stuff and onion has like this like sharp flavor. It's almost like garlic to me. You know what I mean? But I respect garlic and I'll never not use garlic with stuff. But like onions is too much. So like anything where like there's a lot of onions mixed into it I'm not eating. So I don't really eat a lot of people's potato salads and macaroni salads and salads like that. I don't eat stuff like that. If it has like raw red onion in it, like just miss me with that type of stuff. Again, you kind of use it as a cooking agent a little bit. But I always ask, like if people have potato salad and stuff like that, I always ask if there's onions. I've been noticing a lot of like even salad mixes, like if you get a bag of salad, right, and it'll be like some type of flavor. Almost all the packages now like include green onion or whatever, and I'm not with it, man. So yeah, I don't like scallions and green onions and chives and all. I don't eat that type of stuff, man. So onions, it's one of those things where if you cook them down to where like they're not really visible or if they're not really something that I'm gonna have to chew or like feel that crunchy texture. Because that's the thing when I'm eating like a potato salad, macaroni salad, and I get a random crunch, the crunch better be pickle. It better be relish. You know what I'm saying? It better not be no onion. You know what I mean? Or carrot or something like that. It better be something else in there, but it better not be no onion, whatever. Um, like a cheesesteak, I'm always getting it without onions. Like there's a lot of dishes, people cook with them. People make pot roast and stuff like that. But that stuff I can kind of pick around. But like if you have a lot of onions embedded in like your sauce and all that, I'm probably gonna pass on that, and I'm gonna get something else, or I'm gonna ask for something else. So even that with like spaghetti and pasta and stuff like that, the tomatoes need to be like they need to be like it needs to be more saucy instead of like chunky with the peels in it, whatever. So yes, I that and I did give you explanation. I gave you a breakdown, so that might make you feel like I'm a super picky eater, but I eat so many things that quintessential picky eaters don't eat. Like quintessential picky eaters don't eat certain seafood. You know what I'm saying? I eat clams, I eat mussels. I don't eat oysters, but that's not necessarily like a food that I hate or anything like that. It's just I never actually had an oyster. They just seem slimy as hell. Um, but like, yeah, I'm not getting chicken tenders the only time I'm getting chicken tenders is if it's like bar, yeah, like a bar food type of thing. But rarely then I'm getting chicken tenders. I'm eating a lot of different things. My son is a picky eater. My son don't eat side dishes, bro. He eats rice, but he don't eat macaroni. He'll eat some Big Mac sometimes, but he don't really like macaroni like that. He don't eat mashed potatoes. Um, he not eat like he used to eat some vegetables. He don't really eat no vegetables. And there are definitely some vegetables that I'm not really messing with necessarily, like definitely first pick, second pick. But like those are the things where it's like, all right, those are ingredients that like are used in a lot of things and I'm not with it, but some people are but it's not me, man. So like, yeah, please cook accordingly. And I will decline what you're feeding me. I just will, and I hope you're not offended by it. Don't get defensive. Just understand like that's just me. But like I eat a lot of things. There's more things that I eat. There's way less things that I don't eat than what I do eat. So I don't fall into that category. But what do you think? To you, what is a picky eater? You know what I mean, a picky eater is somebody to me that, the person that is ordering chicken tenders or burgers anywhere, any restaurant they go to. The picky eater, yeah, doesn't like most vegetables. The picky eater doesn't like most fruits. There are some fruits I don't like peaches. I don't fuck with peaches, but like, how often is peach in a dish? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so think about that. what do you think is a picky eater? I can name a bunch of different things. I think vegans are picky eaters. Shit, fuck that. You know what I mean? No, but I feel like unless you're doing it for medical reasons, like you just doing too much if you out here living that vegan lifestyle. Like you ain't doing that because you like it for real, for real. Like you doing it to show off. Yeah, I mean that's my opinion. But what's a picky eater in your mind? Leave a comment below. All right, let's move on to the next topic. So first, I want to say, rest in peace to D'Angelo. Right. So we definitely lost a amazing musician. Really, when you break down like what he's done musically, what he has done for R&B and for soul, being a pioneer of the neo soul movement. Definitely a little bit ahead of his time, and the reason why he's not commercially bigger than what he is partially because of his personalities, right? So D'Angelo, he died October he died October 14th, obviously 2025. He was only 51 years old. So very young, only about he's about 10 years younger than my mom, right? 10 years younger than my mom and dad, pretty much. And yeah, man, his birthday was February 11th, man. So definitely a pioneer of the game. If I had to think of my top three, I'd say my top three D'Angelo songs are Brown Sugar, Lady, and then Doesn't Even Matter, which was a feature, but it was a duet with him and Lauryn Hill. There are a couple other songs. I'm not gonna sit here and make up all this and say that I was like a humongous fan of D'Angelo. I mean, I definitely like How Does It Feel as well, Untitled. But D'Angelo though, man, he is considered like not the he wasn't the sole creator of neo soul, but his debut song and album, his debut album Brown Sugar, is considered the first neo soul album out there. You know what I'm saying? And then when we talk about neo soul and kind of like the creation of it, um, neo soul was kind of like a movement that had to do with just a lot of instrumentation, and it was just a kind of a new way of kind of making music. But yes, instrumentation is a big part of neo soul. So, I mean, because Brown Sugar is that first album that's kind of like is it launched that movement. The term was first coined by D'Angelo's manager. His name was Keter Massenburg, and basically neo soul is a style blend of R&B. There's a little bit of hip hop in there. There's some jazz, and other styles of music, and you know, Pitchfork, right? Like the magazine, they kind of labeled him as the groundbreaking R&B artist who helped define the neo soul movement across decades. The Washington Post described D'Angelo as the godfather of neo soul. D'Angelo distanced himself from the term, saying in 2014, "I never claimed I do neo soul when I first came out. I used to always say I do black music. I make black music, right?" So that's the one thing about D'Angelo. D'Angelo is very pro-black and always thinking about us in the creation of his music. Brown Sugar though is like it's a timeless classic, man. Like that the album, but also the songs on there. And so from Brown Sugar and that album, it took about 5 years for him to drop his second album, which was Voodoo. And Voodoo actually that's what won him Grammys. He is a four-time Grammy winner. He has four Grammy wins for best R&B album for Voodoo. He won Best Male Performance for Untitled or How Does It Feel? And then in 2016, which was obviously a lot more recently, he dropped an album called Black Messiah. I did not hear that album because I don't think I was really in that kind of mode of music in 2016. But he won Best R&B Album and then Best R&B Song with the song called Really Love. So that was when he dropped Black Messiah. That was after a 14-year absence from music. So one of the things they say about D'Angelo is the fact that when How Does It Feel came out, that was a iconic video, right? Like one of the most iconic videos ever. I remember I feel like they did a making the they might have even did a making the video of that music video. But it's the video where he appears to be naked as he's singing, and then it looks like he's doing a lot of sexual things, and like it was kind of wild at the time. Like it was a video that like as a young boy it kind of made you uncomfortable a little bit because you're like, yo, bro, are they about to show this guy? Like because they kept painting down on him and stuff like that. But like um it was definitely provocative, and that was the song and video that kind of made him into a sex symbol for the ladies and for just in the R&B scene. But then that was also like kind of like what drew him away from music. So he was getting a little bit too much attention from Untitled and that music video, and he just didn't like the image, and he felt like whenever he was putting out music, it was about, or anytime he was like trying to create something, everybody was worried about that aspect of it, like the image of him, and forgetting that this guy is a musician. Like he's not just a singer. Like he's playing the instruments, he's writing the music of everything that he's putting out there. So that yeah, that kind of put him into hiding, and then he obviously suffered with some substance abuse over the years, and kind of just really really not liking the spotlight. And then he did drop Black Messiah, but he died of like he had a secret battle. They said secret battle of pancreatic cancer. So it wasn't something that he was like kind of publicizing. Now online, there, we know that he was with Angie Stone for a little bit. Online, that's all I'm hearing about online is about their relationship, and now people are like looking at, even though she's passed away, people are looking at their relationship, and it's like almost like I don't know if it matters that much, you know what I mean, because it's posthumous, you know what I mean, like both of these people are passed away. So like we can't really get any answers. We can't hold anybody accountable. It was a different time, and I know people like to they look at that type of stuff and they say like, that makes you like kind of complicit when you try to look at time periods, and like because that's how some people that are like perpetrators, they like to kind of play on that. But it's kind of true though. Like it's a different time, but also it wasn't a situation as far as like the stories told. It was a situation where he was the one who initiated the relationship, but he was also legal. Like he met Angie Stone when he was like 19, or he started a relationship with her when he was 19. But like he's, you could look at it as like people, because we use like different words nowadays. Their relationship wasn't not it was unconventional, but it wasn't necessarily inappropriate in terms of when we talk about consent and all that. So I'm not here to talk about that type of stuff, but I did definitely wanted to shout out to D'Angelo for being such a pioneer of the neo soul movement. But when you think about neo soul, you think about artists like Erykah Badu, you think about Jill Scott, you think about Music Soul Child, Bilal, maybe even a little bit of Maxwell in there, Eric Benet, like there's a lot of artists that came from our time that that were a part of that movement. But definitely a pioneer, and he's somebody that we're gonna start seeing. Like I think, watch, people gonna start sampling his stuff crazy. I'm seeing a lot of people like kind of give him flowers for his contributions, of people of all walks of life, and it's good to see. You wish that people got more flowers when they were here, though. But we gotta take the love where we can get it, though. So, but yeah, man, rest in peace to D'Angelo, aka the pioneer of neo soul, man. But how you feel about it, man? How you feel about it? Leave a comment below, and then yeah, let's move on to the next topic. Here we go. All right, let's share another video. We have another video here to share. And this one is talking about, it says Black Trauma Talk. Some black parents only apologize through the grandkids. All right. Now, I'm not going to say I relate to this necessarily, but we're going to hear the brother out, though, what he talking about. So let's take a look here. See what he's getting at.
Black parents only apologize through their grandkids. A lot of our parents knew exactly what they did. They knew how they raised us. They knew what they said to us. They know all of this. It's not like they can't remember or they forgot. They know. It's just that they don't have the chest hairs or balls to admit what they did was wrong. So instead of apologizing to you, what they start doing is showing up for your kids. And I'm explaining what I mean. You'll see that they got patience, they know how to listen, they know how to laugh, they know how to be gentle. All the things you wish they would have did for you as a child, all of a sudden they know how to do for the grandkids. And it's not on a jealous tip, it's just like, where was all of this when I was a child? Because the person that you are now is not the person that raised me. And the worst part about that whole situation is that they think that being a good parent erases the fact that they were a bad parent. And if you think about it, apologizing through action kind of feels confusing. At the same token, you're very grateful that your kids are getting this love that you have never had, right? But you feel a little bit bitter inside because you realize that you had to sacrifice your childhood and you had to suffer in order for them to be able to get this unprofound love that they're being showered with. And then you start understanding that they do know how to love correctly. They just chose not to love you correctly. Some black parents only.
All right, so I don't know if I necessarily can relate to that, but I definitely see I've seen this happen in other people's like relationships and interactions with their own parents. Like I do often hear people just talk about comparing like how their parents parented them versus how they are as grandparents. And I just hear the comments about, yeah, like, oh man, you spoiled this kid, but you ain't spoiled me when I was young, or you get they give maybe their kids a little bit more permissions as a grandparent than they did as a parent. But I don't know if that's necessarily a black thing though. I think that's a parenting thing and grandparenting thing in general. That's just by nature. That's what grandparents do. Grandparents, like, they look the other way when it comes to their grandkids, that they did not look like, they don't have the eagle eye focus as a grandparent that they did when they were a parent, partially because they know, so they're not solely responsible for you, or they're not solely responsible for your kids at this point. So I think grandparents always kind of do that. Like, and I don't think it's necessarily a black trauma thing. I think all grandparents of all walks of life have done that in different various forms. I would say though, in my experience, like the things that might have been detrimental in, like, I think about my dad's parenting or whatever, it's certain things that like my son just wouldn't be exposed to with my dad. So it's like it doesn't really manifest itself into anything. But my son, it's funny because like my son has a relationship with his grandfather. Like he sees him, whatever. Partially that relationship has to do with like my little brother. So I have a little brother that's the same age as my son, right? Like he's just 6 months older than my son. So like that's how he's been able to interact with my dad for the last 11 years, and just kind of spending time with him through my brother. And like I ain't gonna lie, like I think my son does get a little bit spoiled, or kind of maybe treated even better. Like I think what's gonna happen is my little brother's gonna be able to speak to this when he's older, and he's gonna be like, yeah, man, you always let Jackson do this, but you ain't let me do this. I can't. I'm so far removed from my brother, so like, in age, and like I said, like I'm not necessarily like my son's not necessarily like my dad is still a active dad. Like he still has to be like, a primary parent. Like he don't get that like full grandparent like luxury, you know what I mean, where he gets to just be relaxing and stuff like that. Um I think if anything, I think what I'll see is probably my dad might like do different things. Is probably like he might start teaching my son how to like fix things that he didn't like teach me how to do, and like that's when I'll feel it, whatever. But for the most part, like my dad don't necessarily like um he don't necessarily do things that are like quite different. And then like in terms of like my grandma, like my mom and my son, they have a tight relationship, but also has always been a part, like she's just been always a part of our village in terms of helping to like raise my son in different ways, like especially like when it comes to like me needing or wanting like social time to myself, or to give, me and my son's mom, like, over the years, giving us breaks so we can like, be together and things like that. But like the only thing I would say, like, I would think like there's like just different experiences because he's the grandparent, because like, because he's the grandchild. Like, so my mom, if she does something for him, it might seem extravagant, but it's like something that she only has to do once every now and then. Like, she doesn't have to foot the bill. So like, I think that happens a lot. Like, I think the grandparents like give your kids resources that like you didn't necessarily have, but it was because they were actively raising you, and like maybe they didn't have the same economics, what I mean, situation that they have like currently. Like they probably have more money in their later age than they did when they was younger. So that's the only thing. But like in terms of trauma, I don't see nothing like where like there's not a situation, because my son he is really a good kid. Like there's not a situation where like my mom has ever had to yell at Jackson, or my dad has ever had to yell at my son. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but I think it's an interesting point. But I think that's just the nature of grandparents. I think they get to kind of take a back seat. They don't have to be the primary parent. So like yes, they're able to show up a little bit. Now, if you do experience what he's talking about, and then you do feel some resentment or feel some type of way about it, I think it's something that you probably need to talk to your actual therapist about, and maybe figure out a way to invite your parent so you can kind of face those issues with them. But just some overarching thing, nah, I don't buy it. I don't see it. What do you think though? What do you think? Leave a comment below. All right. All right, this is gonna be our probably our biggest segment here. So we're gonna talk about Wayward, the new show on Netflix. It came out like September 25th, so it's been out for a couple weeks now, and it's something that I kind of tune into, and it's wild as hell. It's wild as hell. So I'm gonna give you kind of an overview of the show, and then there's two different things I'm gonna give commentary on. So there's something that happens in the show, like an activity that happens in the show. We're gonna give some commentary to that. And then I'm gonna give some commentary to like that, like one of the actors in particular, and how their role plays in this show. Like we're gonna give some commentary to that. So let's first off, let's say this. All right, so let me tell you this. This show is wild as fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's about a school. This show is about a school called the Tall Pines Academy. That's some type of like reform school. So like think of when I say reform school, reform behavior, like it's a behavioral school that kids get sent to when they ain't doing too well, right? So it's a reform school, and that's what this story is mostly about. But we quickly learn that their methods in this school are both unethical, right? Like it's not right. Like they do a lot of lying and a lot of deception, but then it's outright illegal. It's outright illegal, some of the things that they're doing. Just some of the therapy methods. Now they kind of treat this almost like a psych ward. Even the way that they obtain their patients, It's really wild, man. Like they like they kind of capture you, bro. Like they capture you, they put you, they blindfold you. It look like you getting kidnapped. You know what I'm saying? Like it really looks like something crazy like that. That's how they get you. But then also like it's unethical. Like they're even how they prey on people that maybe don't have money, and like they try to figure out any way that these people can pay for this type of for their kids to go to this type of place. So like a lot of weird unethical practices that go on here. I don't want to give too much away, but I am going to be giving you kind of overview of what's happening in this show. Um, it's about the story itself, though, is about two girls that get sent there for various reasons, and they are friends, right? Once they're there, they're trying different ways to break out, but also they're trying to expose the dark secrets about this school. Meanwhile, as this is happening, as that's the backdrop of what's going on, but meanwhile, uh, not to mention, the characters. This is a Canadian show, I believe, in origin. So the characters start in Canada, and then this school is in like Vermont, right, which is typically a very liberal place, right? Um, Meanwhile, as that's the backdrop, we got these girls going to the school. They're trying to break out. They're trying to expose the secrets, and that this school is like really messed up, whatever, right? Meanwhile, there's a couple that moves into town. One member of the couple, one person is the new cop in town, and the spouse of this cop is actually a former student, and they're moving back to their, like, we're gonna call it their hometown, so to speak. Weird things start to happen though in this town, like just this weird, peculiar things. It seems to be this town seems to be too nice. It seems to be too quiet. It seems to be, like there's nothing much happening. And so, like, as this character is named Alex Dempsey, as this character is being acclimated as a cop, the character is like, yo, like this is not, there's something about this place that just this don't seem right. Like, why it's too perfect, it's too good to be true, right? So as things are going on in this show, the cop starts to believe, is under the suspicion that something is off about the place, but then they also get this inclination that something is weird about this particular school based off of a run-in that this cop has on the first day, because they actually witness another student trying to escape, like, and he's frantic and he's wilding out, like he's wilding out. So we later come to find out, right? So one of the biggest things, right, and spoiler alert, right? One of the biggest things about this school in this town, one of the biggest things about the town specifically is we learn that there's no actual kids in this town. Now, all the people that go to the school, they're like teenagers, older teenagers typically, but like of high school age. That's, it seems like that's where they start getting you there. They don't let like little kids go there. I think the youngest you can be is 12. I think there's a character that said they were there since they were 12 years old. But either way, we learn that there's no kids there. So now this couple, the wife is pregnant. The wife is pregnant, and like the people make like such a big deal about her being pregnant. One, she's from this place, so everybody seems to know her. It's one of those towns where everybody knows everybody. But it's kind of weird because it's like, well, where are the kids? Like, why are there no kids here? Why is everybody making a big deal? Well, it's because, right? The school is how the town is populated, right? So that's part of the deep weird stuff, right? The school is how the town is populated. The town is filled with nothing but former graduates of this particular school. Now, why these people haven't procreated, I don't know. I've not gotten there yet, and I'm still wondering myself. But yeah, like everybody that lives there is like pretty much a former student, you know? And that's kind of weird. It's kind of sinister, but it's because the methods and the way that they are trying to like psychologically mess with these students, they're trying to create this like almost like a utopia town. But with anything that's a utopia, there has to be something like weird or bad that happens to get it to this like perfect state, right? Nothing is perfect, right? Nothing is naturally perfect. So there has to be something a foul, you know what I mean? If everything is like going great, you know what I mean, there has to be something up with that. Um, so yeah, so that's what's going on. That's the overview of the show. Now, when it comes to the school itself, there's a couple of things I gotta definitely talk about. And well, one thing in particular, there's an activity that they make these kids do called the hot seat, right? So in this, it's basically like a talking circle of some sorts. There is a chair in the middle, and like they don't get into like they don't tell you why like you would sit in that chair or whatever, right? So this is a wild practice. So what they do is the teacher, the main lady that runs the school, she's like she teaches classes and does all this different type of stuff. She starts it off by letting people run their anger, right? So when they run their anger, they're saying like whatever is making them angry and frustrated with their classmates and their the people that go to the school. Whatever's making them angry, they let them kind of get it off their chest, right? Because this school, let me add to this, the school has like very strict rules about like interaction from student to student. Like there's no touching, like you can't hug each other, nothing, right? You know there's weird, and they got a student there that's like kind of like the snitch of the school. So like running your anger, this is your chance to kind of get out all your frustrations because you can't really yell and do too much. You can't hit nobody, can't touch nobody when you're in there. So like running your anger is where people are getting stuff off their chest. So not only, so this is what happens though. So somebody says something about you, before you can say something back about them that frustrates you about them, you have to thank them for their feedback. Like you have to take a pause and which, in some ways that's like, okay, that's that makes you listen a little bit more as opposed to reacting. It slows you down a little bit. So, somebody could say the craziest thing about you though. It could be even offensive. And then you're supposed to say, and that's the problem with it. It's like it's not everything that they're saying is not constructive. If it was constructive, then it would make sense. But like some of the things that they're saying is like real rude and crazy. And then you have to thank them for their feedback, and then that gives you basically is like the talking stick or something that gives you permission to chime in. Now, what happens is though is like obviously this kind of process, this kind of therapy, this kind of circle makes people uncomfortable, makes people sad, makes people more angry. And then obviously if you do anything to like halt the process, like if like for example, there was a kid that like they're talking about one kid and he like kind of chimes in, he's trying to stop it, and he's like, stop. And then they said, oh, that's against the rules. Like you're preventing the process. So that's when they put you in the hot seat. And when they put you in the hot seat, everybody's allowed to say whatever they want to you, and they get even more personal, they get more disrespectful, they get more offensive, and like you're not even thanking them for their feedback, you have to take it. And and they beat you down verbally, emotionally, and verbally. They beat you down, you know what I'm saying? And you can't retaliate, you can't like throw blows with these people. And then the teacher tells the one character as they're witnessing him go through this hot seat and like it's getting really heated. He said he knows how to stop this, right? And so what you do to stop when they are berating you and they're saying the most offensive things, it's hurting your feelings, make you feel some type of way. The only way to get it to stop is like to admit that they are right, that everybody and what they're saying is correct, okay? And then obviously then the character, this character in particular, he has this crazy breakdown. And then this is the fucked up part, but then it gets weird, right? It gets really weird. And then what they do is like as you're at your lowest, right? And you're just feeling defeated and you accepted all this bad talk against you. Like you accepted it. You owned it. Then they tell you to converge, and then everybody comes in for the nastiest group hug ever. And why the reason why I say nasty is because everybody's crying, people with snot and sweaty and whatever. Not to mention, right, you could tell that these kids, right, these young people are starved for human interaction. That when they are touching each other and they converging and they're hugging and stuff like that, it gets a little bit hot and heavy, like to the point where like they're moaning and they're like really like it gets a little bit, yeah, it gets a little suggestive, and it made me uncomfortable when I seen it, and I was like, what the hell is that? So like fucked up, like really messed up stuff. They got weird counselors that used to be students there that are weird and messed up, and the way they treat these kids and stuff. And so like it's definitely eye opening, and like I'm kind of waiting to see where it kind of goes. I got a couple more episodes to watch through, but it is, oh man, it's dark. Like there's some stuff in this show that's like really weird. All right, last thing about this show though. Now I don't know how this is gonna land necessarily, right? So there's a character in this show, right? The character of Alex Dempsey, right? So as I'm watching this show, this show is supposed to take place like the story takes place in 2003. All right, so this is where it gets weird to me, or this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So 2003, so it definitely appears that this is the couple that I was referencing, and I don't know if you noticed, I didn't say like certain thing. I didn't say any pronouns. But both they appear to be women, so you definitely feel that they are in a a same sex relationship, right? And of course they use the most gender neutral generic name ever, Alex. So Alex Dempsey. So you clearly see that this is a person that is with another a woman with another woman, right? Biologically, right? However, this person is a trans male, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, whatever. But like for me, it's like you trying to get me to believe that that was going on, like, or that would have been acceptable in 2003 because nobody bats an eye to it, right? They make one mention of it early on, but then from there on, they are affirming this character's masculinity the whole show, and it almost like they do it so much to the point where you're thinking like, wait up. Is the fact that the character is a trans male, is that part of the show exactly, or did they put a actor in there that is trans, and they just want us to believe that it's a man, right? Like they're just like it's a trans actor, and it's like, all right, no, I'm not a trans male. I'm just a male. Like, and they want the audience to believe that. And I find out like no, the character is supposed to be trans, and there's a wild love scene in there that makes it like clearly that like, all right, we got some things we need to iron out, and there's some things that's a little different, whatever. But like, I just think it's hard for me. It's just I don't care that the character is there, but like that would make sense in 2025, right? It doesn't make sense in 2003. And for no one to like, for them, that character not to face any type of discrimination or any type of backlash or any type of side eye, for them not to experience that, and for everybody to be fully accepting of it, it just feels very utopian, kind of like kind of like the town, and it just don't make sense, whatever. So, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm can't wait to finish watching it. But like, check this out. This is a show that if you have not watched it yet, I want you to check it out. The next show I'm gonna be checking out is that Ed Gein story. I seen a little bit of it. I seen like first like 10 minutes of episode, and it was wild. So I'm going to chime into that as well. But yeah, man, what are you watching right now? Let me know. Let me know what you're watching. The newest season of Hell's Kitchen is back, and so that's something that I watch with the family, and we be hyped. Yeah, I mean, we be hyped. My son particularly, man, he loves some Gordon Ramsay, and we be getting into all them shows. All right, but moving on. All right, last thing. I don't know if you've seen this clip here, but let's look at one of my favorite. former favorite players. He's not my favorite player no more. He's not my favorite player no more, just because for various reasons, because he's not on my team anymore. But take a look at this. All right, here we go. So this was the Pittsburgh Steelers versus Bengals game, right? So this is what happens late in the game here. So check this out. I think this was the game tying touchdown that gave them the lead then when they kicked the extra point. But let's take a look here. I thought this one would have sealed the game, but it just something didn't feel right about time. So Aaron Rodgers goes to celebrate, and then happy celebration, right? Happy, right? No. Oh, oh, snap. Let's go back. Let me see that look. Hype, celebrates. Woo! Yo, do you see how pissed Aaron Rodgers got off of that? Do you see how mad that Aaron Rodgers got? So now we've always heard stuff about we always heard stuff about Aaron Rodgers, like not always being necessarily like the best teammate or whatever. Um, we've always heard those things. Let me stop sharing the screen. No. So we've always heard stuff, and like I'm a Packers fan, and I do think that there were times where like it definitely, even though like he was the star of the team or whatever, or like the heart and soul of the team, it definitely felt like there was times where he did not always connect with his teammates, especially towards the end of his run in Green Bay. It just got kind of weird, and with the weird off seasons, and like he basically like stepped in and did everything that Brett Favre did on his way out. That's what Aaron Rodgers is doing on his way out. So I ain't gonna lie. So we always heard him not being the best teammate. The way he was frustrated was kind of funny, but I ain't gonna lie, I do kind of understand where he's coming from, because it's like he probably spends a lot of time trying to protect himself and trying not to get hit in games. Only for like, yeah, you can grab me, whatever, but like his lineman literally tackled him. And like he could have had a freak injury, man. He could have been hurt for a little bit. And he was pissed though. Like he got basically tackled by his own teammate. And then he pushed them off and everything, and he's like, and you could just see the anger. It's still not. I'm still not used to seeing Aaron Rodgers in a Pittsburgh uniform. The helmet looks kind of goofy on him. It looks man big on him, but he's balling, man. Like he's showing the Steelers like, hey, this is what it looks like when you have a competent quarterback on your roster. Like we can get this ball to all these different guys. We can feature some of these guys. Calvin Austin is, when he's not hurt, he looks like a regular receiver out there. Move. I mean, this is his best game of the season. He wasn't really getting the ball. They were trying to spread it around a lot, um, but we're also seeing like, so I wonder what that team would look like if they could have kept George Pickens. If it would have been Pickens and Metcalf, like that would have been crazy, especially with Aaron Rodgers. But like we're seeing with Pickens, he is a number one receiver. Like he has that caliber. Like, and he just needs a half decent, competent quarterback. Not saying that Russell was competent and he's good, but like obviously you're getting Russell towards the end of his career. They never did nothing to kind of produce or draft or develop a new quarterback. And that's why they are scrounging for veterans every single season. And they still haven't, well, they drafted Will Howard, so maybe he will be the future, but they're not investing the right kind of picks on getting a quarterback, and it's kind of showing, right? Other than that, in the NFL, the Lions lost kind of surprisingly, right? So that loss gave actually the Packers an edge in the division. One, because we beat them, but also the fact that the Packers only have one loss means that they have a higher win percentage. Who else? Who else? Yeah, the Eagles lost again, right? So the Eagles lost two in a row. Um, probably for the first time in a long time. So they lost to the Giants though. and they go against the Minnesota Vikings. So you know who I'm rooting for, and it's crazy that I'm rooting for them. But you can only guess who I'm probably rooting for. It's weird because I guess the Eagles winning would help my division, help our team in our division, but I ain't got time to be rooting for no damn Eagles, man. I can't do it. I'm just gonna root for Justin Jefferson to do well. Let's see. The Bills lost for the second time in a row. And it was it's kind of shocking that they lost again, lost again. But I think they gotta get some things right. They do gotta improve some aspects of that defense. The Colts are looking like they're making me eat my words. The Colts looking like they are for real. They moved to 5-1. The best team in the NFL right now, though, is probably the Buccaneers because of Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, if I had to stop the season after 6 games, Baker Mayfield is the MVP, man. Baker Mayfield is balling, and he's throwing to his four, fifth, six wide receivers. He's not even throwing to his top guys. His top three guys are hurt right now. Mike Evans might play this weekend, but without Evans, without Godwin, and then Egbuka, who's been killing, Egbuka got hurt, right? So, but the Buccaneers are still getting it done, and I would say that yeah, he's definitely the MVP if the season ended today. Packers were able to squeak by the Bengals. I'm happy for it. It looks like that running game is starting to get going. It looks like our line is starting to get healthy. We got some receivers coming back pretty soon. Christian Watson will be back sooner than you know it. But it looks like last week was the first time they really started to like really utilize Matthew Golden. They need to do that, man. I don't know why we're not doing that. I think this offense, I like that they get it to the open guy, but they need to feed Tucker Craft. They need to feed Matthew Golden, and they need to feed Romeo Dobbs. That's enough receivers. You can supplement with some passes to Dontavian Wicks. You can get Savion Williams involved, whatever. But like in terms of your primary targets, and right now it needs to be Dobbs, it needs to be Tucker Craft, and it needs to be Matthew Golden. And because you didn't draft Matthew Golden in the first round just to have him as a gadget player. And I mean, he made a couple clutch catches, couple clutch moves. He's still looking for his first touchdown, but we balling out, man. We balling out. But what do you think about this week's episode? What do you think about the NFL right now? What's going on in the league? What do you think about this new show? If you haven't seen it yet, Wayward. How you feel about that show? If you haven't checked it out, how do you feel? What else did we talk about today? We talked about black trauma. We talked about picky eaters, and then RIP to D'Angelo. All right, RP to D'Angelo. So yeah, we're gonna wrap this up, man. It's time for me to eat some dinner. I love being with y'all every week, man. We're gonna come back with a fresh new episode. We're gonna have some recaps coming, right? Recaps are coming pretty soon, man. Recap and record will be back before you know it. Probably we need to have a sports segment. My boy Fresh Bar sports show is back. So definitely want to get up with Jabbar Harris pretty soon. Talk about some Pittsburgh football and Packers football. But yeah, man, we rocking and rolling, y'all. This is episode 211 of the 280 Plus podcast. If you're new to the channel, I need you to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, right? Share the content, leave a comment below, y'all. This is episode 211. I'm out. Peace.